Hi, welcome to Recipe for Fun. I'm Paul.
I'm Braden.
This is Braden, and today we're going to make some pickled carrots. To be more specific, lacto-fermented pickled carrots. These are like your sour pickles, your old-fashioned sauerkraut. Those kinds of things were fermented foods, and we're going to do that today. This Recipe for Fun channel is going to be all kinds of different things. It could be cooking, it could be
Gaming.
It could be building something, it could be kitchen table science. Anything that's fun could be a recipe for fun. And so that's what we're doing.
Even a dry ice bomb if we get enough subscribers.
If we get enough subscribers. Well, and we probably have to leave the state of Utah because technically I think having the materials together for a dry ice bomb in the state of Utah is a felony?
Yeah.
Something like that.
We'll have to go up to Wyoming.
Go to Wyoming. Exactly. Okay, so where were we? Today, we're going to make lacto-fermented carrots. Dill pickled carrots, to be exact. I did say that, but so what? And the reason I like to use carrots, what I've found is that I really love the crunch of a carrot. And the fermented carrots actually keep their crunch. And so you kind of combine a crunchy carrot stick with a dill pickle. If you could imagine and appreciate that, this might be for you. So we're going to jump right in here. So here's all the different tools and ingredients that we're going to need, including a bunch of carrots, which we will cut up. Garlic. These are serrano peppers. I like a little spice, so we're going to throw some of those in there. We've got some dill seed. Now, I've made this recipe before with dill weed. If I was going to make dill pickles in a traditional way with water bath canning and that kind of thing and vinegar, I would use dill seed, and I wanted to try that in this fermenting method and see how that turns out. We also need some sea salts.
For the brine.
For the brine, which we'll discuss here in a moment. The only other ingredient that we're going to put in here are some bay leaves. And the bay leaves are going to help with the crispness of the fermented food. In this case, we have carrots, which are already going to be pretty crisp, but this, again, bay leaves or grape leaves. In the summer and fall, I would use grape leaves off my vine, but I've got some bay leaves here for that we'll use. Okay, so some of you may be thinking, fermented food? That sounds weird, Paul. And maybe, but we as a species have been fermenting foods for thousands of years. That's how we've preserved lots of different kinds of food. And in some ways, we've lost some of that. And so there are people who are, and writers and others who are helping us get back into some of these things. One of these people is Kristen K. Shockey and Christopher Shockey. This is a book that I have of theirs called Fermented Vegetables, Creative Recipes for Fermenting 64 Vegetables and Herbs in Krauts, Kimchis, Brine pickles, chutneys, relishes, and pastes. This is a great book. I'll put the link down below. And we'll probably do some more recipes out of here. They do have a fermented carrots recipe in here. It's not dill carrots like I'm going to do. It's just simple fermented carrots. But we're going to take that a step further in our recipe. But in this book, they have a simple recipe for a brine. The brine it's a salt brine, and what's going to do is keep the bad bacteria out and let the good bacteria grow. And the good bacteria is lactobacilli or other lactic acid bacteria that's going to ferment the food and bring out flavor and nutrition and is also actually very helpful for our digestive system in our bodies. I've already filled up these 2-quart jars with filtered water. You don't want to have tap water that has chlorine or fluoride or any of that kind of stuff in it. If it's chlorinated water, it could kill the good bacteria that's already on here and slow down or prevent your ferment from happening. So you want filtered water, and then I've also heated this up. Now, again, you don't want to pour boiling water into your vegetables because that's, again, going to kill any good bacteria you have going on. So I've warmed this up to kind of a just over lukewarm, but that's going to help the salt dissolve, and then as we go throughout this, it will cool down some, and when I pour it in over the vegetables, over the carrots.
Or in other words, just warm water. Not too hot, just warm.
Not too hot, not too cold, just warm enough to dissolve the salt, and then you'll have your brine. Now, in this book here, she writes that you just need a tablespoon of sea salt. Now, again, here's another thing that you want to do. You want some kind of natural salt or sea salt that's not iodized for your brine. So I've just got some simple Morton sea salt here, and that's all I'm going to use. So I'm going to take my tablespoon of salt, make sure I got a good tablespoon here. So it's not a lot of salt really for one tablespoon per quart of water. And we're going to need something to stir that up.
Do you want me to get like a good sized spoon?
Sure.
Not too big. Just gonna get one of those bigger ones. No, too small. It's good. It's bigger than.
I guess I could just use this tablespoon.
Can I stir that other one?
Sure. Here, you take it. So we're just going to stir this up and set it aside and let it dissolve, and that'll dissolve and get going while we cut up everything else. Really, the only things we're going to cut up are the carrots. We've got the jets going over here.
Yeah, that's that sound. Now we're just gonna let those tiny crystals do their own thing.
All right, so we'll just set that aside. Just set that over here and let that dissolve. And so now we just need to cut up the carrots. So I'm going to take the carrots out.
Not like in little slices. Just cut this top part off with the leaves.
Well, what we'll do is, so for example, like a carrot like this, what I'll do is, of course, cut the top off, and then this fatter part I'll probably cut in half, so it's more of a pickle size, and then the bottom part might cut into a couple pieces. So we're not going to cut them into tiny little carrot sticks. They'll be more like a pickle size. Try to keep it like that.
Can I cut the first one?
Sure. You want to cut the first one?
Yeah.
All right.
I got knife safety, so.
Okay. Okay, so we've got our cut up carrots, got our carrot sticks, okay? So what we're gonna do now is put together our jars. Now here are the 2 jars I'm going to use to ferment these pickles, these pickled carrots in.
They're both about like half a gallon.
Yeah, they are quart and a half or so. 2 quarts. I think they're 2 quarts. You can get these at your local store. You can get them on Amazon. I'll put a link below if you're interested. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put all my stuff in here. Now I'm going to put in 2 bay leaves per jar. I'm going to put in, I only want to put 1 garlic clove in per jar. Now I've got this real good sized clove of garlic here that I'm going to put in one of them, and then I've got kind of 2 smaller ones that I'm going to put in the other. I was thinking about, I'm thinking yes, I'm going to put 2. Yeah, let's just do it. We're going to do 2 serrano peppers per jar.
I was thinking we could like maybe split them in half so the flavor could come out easier.
Yeah, this will be good. Okay, and then we need our dill. So I'm going to put a tablespoon and a half or so of dill, because these are pretty big jars. And let's just do kind of a tablespoon and a half per jar. Okay, and that's all of our spices and other ingredients. So now we just start packing the jars full of our carrot pickles.
Yep.
And the way I like to do this is I like to do this in 2 layers. There's going to be a bottom layer and a top layer.
So basically like this.
Well, see, now if they drop like that, it's okay.
But once you start getting more in them, they start...
It gets easier, yeah. Now I'm going to do my second layer. And if you do this right, with many ferments, you have to put something in to keep the vegetables that you're fermenting below the brine. Because if they rise above the brine, they could grow mold on them or something like that. Or they won't get pickled right. They won't get fermented right. But if you pack these in well enough, they actually hold each other down. And so that's what we're going for. And the other benefit of that is you fit more in. So we're going to pack these in real good here. Once you've got your jars all full, you'll want something to cover your jar with. Now, I've seen this done in an old crock like they would have back in the day with a loose lid. The problem with that would be they'd sometimes get some harmless white mold on top and they'd have to rinse that off with some extra brine. You could do this with regular lids, but you'd have to come and burp it every day to release the gas. Or you could find something like these lids here. These are some lids I found from a company called Nourished Essentials. They're the Easy Fermenter lids, and they're pretty cool. They will let the carbon dioxide built up on the inside out and keep the outside air outside. So you don't get any kind of mold or problems like that. It's a sealed environment. It also comes with this pump so that when you want to taste test these in a week or so, you can open it up, taste the ferment, and then when you close them back up, you can use the pump to suck out any of the air that was just let in. I'll put the link for these lids down below as well. So that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. So what we're going to do now is pour in our brine. We're going to make sure that we cover the top of all of our vegetable, all of our carrots in this case. So here we go. And we may have some leftover brine.
I kind of want to pour mine.
That's like perfect right there. All right, Braden, you want to try one?
Yeah.
Okay, you do this one.
I'm going to try not to spill it.
Well, you want to spill it just right in there.
I know. I mean, like, out. Set it. Wow, this thing takes a lot of room.
Yeah, it should pretty much take that whole quart. Now, of course, before we sat down and did any of this, we washed all of these things very well, made sure that they were clean and sterile. We don't want to introduce any contaminants. And so now we've got our 2 jars here. We have the brine above the carrots here. We can kind of shake them around to let out any air, but then we'll just go ahead and put our lids on.
Can I put the other one on?
Sure. Here, you do. I'll do this one. You do that one. And you want to make sure they're tight, but they don't need to be, you don't need to crank them on because then they'll be really hard to get off. So just make sure they're good and tight.
Should be good.
This little orange valve on the top here is what will let the pressure out. When there's carbon dioxide built up in the inside, it will push up on this and it will let that carbon dioxide out without letting the air from out here in. Pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited. I've been out of my pickles now for a couple weeks, and I'm excited to have these. They will take probably a week or 2 at least to ferment. I'll probably check them at that point and do a little update to see how they're doing. When they're finished, and just set them out on the counter. So I'm just going to set them out in somewhere out of direct sunlight. You don't want them in direct sunlight, but just out on the counter somewhere. You probably want to put them in a small cookie sheet or a small baking pan because they may have the tendency to actually overflow some. So these valves could not only let carbon dioxide out, but they may actually let some of the brine out if it needs to escape. And so it could be a bit of a mess. So I'm going to put them in a cookie sheet or a small baking pan, something like that, so we don't have a mess on the countertop.
I wonder what those tiny bubbles are for.
The tiny bubbles in there right now are probably just air, regular air. Now, we give it a couple days and you're going to start to see the fermentation start to happen. Yeah. And those little lactic acid, lactobacillic bacteria are going to start eating some of the sugars in the vegetable and releasing carbon dioxide and creating that kind of environment that will ferment these pickles, these pickled carrots, and create that wonderful kind of sour, delicious taste that we're looking for. I hope you've enjoyed this video. We're planning on doing a lot of fun kinds of things. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And again, thank you for watching our first video. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for fun.
See you guys next time.
See you next time. Oh, and it wouldn't hurt us if you liked and subscribed, and hopefully you'd get something out of it too. Thanks.